Hello, right. So what I'm going to do today is do a stream earlier on, because at the moment, obviously, as I've sort of said yesterday, for those of you that caught yesterday's very short stream, in the evening, because I've been having to do so much around the house at the moment and all that, I'm just quite tired by the time the evenings come around. So often, by the time I want to stream, I get easily frustrated or can't concentrate on anything else. So I thought, because I've not done a stream for ages for people that are in, different time zones, like Australia or whatever else, here you go, here's a stream. Because obviously I've had to get up to sort out a load of funeral stuff again today. So I thought, now that's sorted, let's do a stream. And we'll do a stream at this time of day before I get tired, and everything else. It's basically coming up to lunchtime, because it's about 10 to 12 at the moment, as in midday. But yeah, hello everybody joining. But yeah, so yesterday, I'll watch it back later on, but it's only like a 20-minute stream I did yesterday, because I think it was when I was really, really tired. So I started streaming and realized, I'm exhausted. I can't really do a stream right now. But yeah, so what I'll do later on is, because I set it to, private after I did the stream, I'll watch it back and check there was nothing too embarrassing in it. And then, yeah, I've heard that there's a plague in China again. I think 2020 is just the year the world's going to end, isn't it? Because it seems you can't go very long this year without stuff getting worse and worse. Now, sorry, Miss Valadez. But yeah, yesterday evening was really weird for me. I think because I was just so tired, it ended up being one of those days where I think by about 6:30 in the afternoon, like evening, I'd fallen asleep. Then I think my dad woke me up around 8 o'clock to say, "You're meant to be streaming, aren't you?" So then I started doing the stream, and I realized I was really tired during the stream and I had to stop. And then I literally went to, went to bed straight after that. And then I slept from like 8:30, 9 p.m. last night all the way up until, like 10 a.m. today. So I guess I was really tired, but. Oh, so that's pretty interesting news from there, boring Deputy John. I suppose it's not necessarily good news, is it? But it's interesting stuff's happening. I'm not really sick, sorry, Miss Valadez. If you didn't hear, one of my relatives died recently. So at the moment, there's all the stuff of dealing with that, sorting out funeral arrangements, all the legal paperwork type stuff you have to do. So at the moment, it's taking a bit of a toll on me, I'm afraid. I can certainly understand why a lot of people, if they do video type stuff when their relatives, die or whatever, they just say, look, for a month, I'm not going to be doing anything on YouTube. I can understand that completely. All right, Laser. Yeah, today, weirdly, I'm streaming at a time that's probably better for you, just coincidentally, because I'm more awake at this time. And if by the evening tonight I tried to do a stream, I'd probably just be zonking out again. No, it's limited to 30 people at the moment in the UK, Nate. It was 10 people up until not too long ago, but it's 30 people now. So it means all the immediate family can go, but it's a bit annoying for like friends of the family and sort of, relatives that want to go that aren't that close, because that's where we have to sort of limit the places. But yeah, it's one of those things at the moment that isn't very pleasant, because like with a lot of people, there's probably a lot of people that want to come and pay their respects, and then you have to go through a list saying who can you have, who can't you have, and it always seems horrible when there's people who genuinely want to come pay their last respects. But I know it was worse obviously a while ago when only 10 people could go to a funeral, and I know that's why a lot of people were doing funerals and then like a service like a couple of months later or whatever. So you could get everybody to go, but I think we don't really want to do a service later on as far as my family's concerned. But it's probably not something we want to keep talking about. It's a bit depressing, isn't it? Talking about funerals non-stop on a stream. I know what a potato cannon is, Mom Spaghetti, but I don't know if that would break British laws because it's a projectile weapon, What did AJ say? I missed his typo. Oh, good morning. That wasn't a typo. He's doing it on purpose. He's quoting hello, hello. Good morning. Yeah, that's not a typo. He did that on purpose. Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that, Mark. Yeah, obviously we lost somebody pretty close to us recently, and yeah, for us it wasn't coronavirus related, but it was sped up, I think, because of coronavirus. But yeah, it's a pretty horrible time at the moment, isn't it? Because all the shit of having to deal with funerals and deaths in the family and that, and then less people going. I said, we don't want to spend the whole stream talking about that, but I'm sorry to hear about your mum, you know. But yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me, Bloodhunter. You'd think cremating people with coronavirus would be more like sanitary, wouldn't you, than burying them? But who knows? And so your Parliament building's actually turned into like a riot zone, was it? It wasn't COVID. Yeah, like with ours, it wasn't COVID. It was just one of those things where I think if coronavirus wasn't around, you know, I think she'd have lived longer. But you know, we won't go into all that. But yeah, potato cannons, as I said, aren't really, I don't think, going to be legal here because you are essentially creating a projectile weapon. It's one of those things where if you didn't make videos on it, I really doubt the police would care. But if you're sticking up YouTube videos of it, you know somebody's going to be reporting you for it and trying to get you done just because of the fact they don't like you. Yeah, there you go, Richard. As Richard said, they can't exceed 2 foot-pounds of kinetic energy, and 2 foot-pounds isn't very much considering an air rifle is, 12 foot-pounds, potentially. And these are things that are meant to be launching a whole potato, not a little pellet. Yeah, I imagine a lot of that's pretty frustrating, Mike. Oh, I see. So in your religion, it's something you do. But yeah, the thing is, so like I said, and I don't want to go too much on funerals on this, but we were having the same thing where I think we wanted a cremation. I think it was allowed at the point we wanted it, but apparently they hadn't been allowed to a certain period, and we were saying, why is that? It just doesn't make sense. But yeah, so anyway, like I said, we won't keep talking about funerals the entire stream because I think a lot of streams recently have just been talking about funerals and death arrangements, which are a bit depressing. So I think to talk about that a lot when I'm not streaming as well. So Mike's having to do telephone and internet banking that's not going well, and that's causing him a headache. But yeah, thank you anybody who says the good wishes to me and other people. I do appreciate that. But as I said, I'd just rather not spend the entire stream talking about it. All right, I'm glad you learned stuff about gas masks then, Mark. On happier times, we'd be talking about gas masks more, but at the moment, I've not been buying that much, as I said, just because with all the, economic problems happening, stuff going on in my personal life, I'm not really around at the moment to receive parcels a lot, or know if I'll get time to review them properly. Yeah, my internet's been all over the place recently, Miss Valadez. It's not been so bad in the last week or so, but like the last month or so, it's been all over the place in terms of videos not loading, slowdowns and stuff like that. If you go on eBay, I know I say eBay for everything, you can buy lots and lots of samples and things like that on eBay. Just check your local laws to check they don't, break any laws if you import them. Yeah, it's very strange, isn't it, Adam, how they've changed the law in Scotland for all the air, sort of airsoft and air rifle stuff, but yeah. I don't have a PO box Rap Gods official, but if you look online, I'm sure you can find my docs to details and then you can send something to them. But personally, I would check with me first just in case that they've given out the wrong person's details. But we won't talk about sending stuff to people at the moment. As I said, at the moment, I'm not really going to be around to receive stuff a lot because, of all the having to go out for a couple of hours each day, sort out banking stuff, sort out, all the other stuff. Yeah, should we talk about something more interesting or more heartwarming like NBC Warfare? Even though that's a pretty bleak subject. But did I get the PTM1 down last stream? Because I noticed it's right behind me. And I can't remember if I got it down or not. I'm going to have to watch back yesterday's stream that I've set to private for now. Because I literally can't remember doing it. Other than the fact that obviously I was really tired and that I probably said 20 minutes into it, right, I'm going to bed. Yeah, I'm feeling the right hype. The problem is for me at the moment, as I said, is just we keep going back to this on this stream. It's just all the real life shit I'm having to deal with means that YouTube stuff. If I try and do YouTube stuff, it's pretty forced in, or it's I'm pretty tired and everything else. So like yesterday, the issue was I had to get up early to sort out loads of stuff, you know, doing stuff all throughout the morning and afternoon. And then when it came to do a stream in the evening, I think my body just was like, no, you want to go to sleep now. So, yeah, this is for radiation dust, as Spitfire Lover Plays says. This is a Soviet PTM1, and this is the better variant because it has the elastic on it. Yeah, I'll definitely get through it, Hype. Thank you. It's just, yeah, at the moment, it's one of those things where, you know, it's a pain trying to juggle everything. But yeah, so the PTM1 was a Soviet mask. You can see one on the poster behind me there. Designed for basically fallout dust, irradiated dust. So it wasn't a gas mask as such, but it was like a fallout dust mask. So how these work, I'll take the glasses off, although you can wear them with glasses. You've essentially got a hood on it, and then you've got the mask itself. So this would work fine for corona type stuff. You get that, you get this bit here, put that behind your head, pull that properly down there, and then you tie up the bit there. So it's a bit plague doctor-y looking, but there you go, and that's your PTM1. But this one actually has glass eyepieces as well. The other one's celluloid, so it's got quite good eyepieces on this one. But as said, these are very, very basic masks. They were basically made by babashukas at home and sort of, I guess, on factory off shifts just to get more and more sort of fallout protective gear made. But yeah, I would assume it is FFP1 to FFP2 sort of rated. I'm just guessing it's FFP2 because of how thick it is. Right. I don't know how easy it's going to be to show this on camera, but if you see how thick that mask is, that's all going to be like filter medium, essentially. Although it's all cottony stuff, it's like an oven glove. That's how thick the mask itself is. So I would guess it might even end up being like an FFP2 rating just due to the thickness of the cotton. But yeah, it's if people wanted to wonder what it looks like if you've got one on, basically just looks like that, obviously, although you wouldn't see the bit in the middle, but this one's actually got the glass eyepieces. But yeah, I like the PTM ones just because of how weirdly kind of low budget they are, you know. And it's kind of creepy when you think we need to get babashukas making masks like that to protect people from inhaling radioactive dust. I would say, yeah, 22 euros for a German M65. It's in good condition. That's all right, Mike. The thing is, though, I know what it's like, because obviously, like I said, it was like that for me yesterday, that if you have a lot of shit to do, when it comes to streaming, you often just can't concentrate, can you? Or, you know. eBay, where I got the Russian RU, eBay, same as everything. Nearly everything I get is on eBay. So for anybody saying, where did you get this? Where did you get that? eBay. It's very rare. Something I've got is not from eBay when it's military surplus. Well, mostly you want like a Faraday cage thing, as Hype saying to Justin Vapor, that especially metal works well, because as I said, the Chinese Geigers don't misread on the electro ball thing like the other ones do. So let me turn this one on, and I'll demonstrate this compared to a Plessy, because, you know, let me just let this power on. Let's flick on the plasma ball. Wait, it's not that socket. Maybe it's this socket. That one. There we go. So let's turn on the Plessy. And because this doesn't have metal inside it, the magnetic field, whatever it does, screws up the reading on it. So as you can see there, 0.0 centigrade as it should be. We put that near the plasma ball, and there we go. 121, 114, 120, 130, 142, 149, 152. Right, we're not really experiencing radiation levels that high. As said, it's just because the sort of magnetic field, whatever it is, electron field around there messes with the readings. But, you know, now if we get this Chinese one that Hype sent me, or I bought from Hype, I can't remember, one of the two. Let's get that on the actual live reading bit when it goes onto it again. There we go. So that's a bit higher than it should be. It's 0.51 microsieverts at the moment, but shouldn't be that high. But anyway, if we put this here, you can hopefully see that it's actually going down in radiation more to like the level I expect, 0.36. .31. So yeah, the point is that you do want like hardened cases really on a lot of this stuff, because yeah, it turns out plastic case Geigers definitely misread in electromagnetic fields. I would definitely like an underground functioning bunker. That's on my to-buy list if I can ever afford one, sort of thing. Yeah, well, that's what was sort of happening hype with my Crux tube. When I was powering the Crux tube, because that does make a very small amount of X-rays, I was really worrying I was being exposed to like much higher levels. And then, you know, it quickly turned out to be, oh wait, no, it's just you know, the field is messing with it. I don't think hiding in a fridge in reality would protect you from a nuclear bomb. Although, if it was one of those old fridges you can't open from the inside, surely it would become your tomb because you'd be trapped in it regardless. Yeah, it's good pipe as long as they're in good condition, but I like the FP5 filters and the MP5 mask. They're not the best in the world, but you know. So, like, for example, if we turn this one back on, and I'll turn the annoying buzzer off, because otherwise it's going to beep really loud. Say we set it to 5 Rontgen per hour. As you can see, set to 5 Rontgen per hour there. It's turned on. Normally you'd never ever get this to go off, but put it close enough to one of these and it will start going off. So yeah, plasma balls are very interesting if you just want to get crazy readings on Geiger counters. Interesting enough, Soviet DP5s don't have very good steel casing on the probes, I found out, because these even when you have it closed like that, so it's meant to be gamma radiation only, you still get some false readings through these. Polish DP66 and DP75 not though. So the Poles actually did a better like metal hardening thing than the Russians on their probes, but you can you link to them, Mike? Yeah, link to them on Twitter if you do it now, and I'll check Twitter. I think I know Train Spotting is, and he's never caused a problem before, so unless another mod's banned him, I don't know why. So, yeah, link to me on Twitter, Mike, his account, and then I'll check it for him. From what I understand, they're meant to be all right, Joey, but they'd have the same flaws that any of the plastic-cased ones have, that, you know, they're not very well shielded from really high radiation fields. Well, not radiation fields, but, you know, electromagnetic radiation, everything else. Go for actual proper Soviet PMG Hershey, and this one's a lot cheaper than the other. I don't know what a NATO 10mm filter is, Boring Deputy John. I know what 40mm filters are. If he was just literally painting the outside of the filter and he had plugs in it, you know, so he didn't damage the filter just to match his gas mask color, I don't think it really matters, you know. That's a personal preference thing. But I certainly wouldn't agree with painting masks randomly because, you know, that might damage them. Right, thanks, Mike. Let me check Twitter now, and I will unblock him if he's blocked, even though I do not remember blocking him at all, and I'm pretty sure I know who you're on about. So I'm assuming what's probably happened is... Yeah, I've certainly not been the person to block him, but there we go, he's unblocked now. I assume maybe another mod had done it. But yeah, Train Spotting comes on a lot. And he's on the Discord, and I know he is. He's an alright sort of guy. I think he's actually a kid, but you know. Yeah, there we go. You're unblocked, Train Spotting. I have no idea how that happened, but I'm guessing another mod ban-hammered you when you said something at some point, which is the only problem when you have too many mods on. You know. What's a JPZ? Is it sort of type of plate carrier, Wolfie? The only plates I've got, personally, are the little ones that go in the British Army ECBA, which are very good plates, just small. And then I've got the big Polish steel ones. It came out a bit weird. Polish steel ones. But the Polish steel plates are, what do you call it? They're like level 3, I think. They're not as good a rating. Yeah, as far as I'm aware, Mike, I think it's just because we have so many mods on now. If they said something and another mod was on, they might have taken it the wrong way, might have hidden them, and stuff like that. Telephone's ringing, so hopefully my dad will get it and it won't be for me. But if I have to go off in a minute, it's because there's a phone call for me, I assume. Yeah, insane prices, JJ, and for me, it's because I don't know what's going on in the future, all the stuff going on at the moment that, well, we've all been over this before, haven't we? I don't know what US shop sells Ghost filters. The issue is with Ghost filters is there aren't many places you can buy them outside of, like Russia and China. Rattle can what? Sorry, Miss Valadez, have I missed something? And apologies if I'm missing comments. It's just because there's quite a lot of people giving random questions at the moment. I'm not, Right, cheers, Mike. The only Ghost filters I know of that aren't like specific brand ones are like the type that I've got on this mask that Hype sent me with the Chinese MF11D. These are Ghost filters. These are Chinese ones, and these are actually good ones. So I think these are called TF1 filters. So if you ever get the chance to find these are quite good. But as I said, I don't really know, how available these are. It's just I know that you can actually, get these, unlike some of the others where they don't ship outside of wherever at all. Yep. Mahia Firework, I have done quite a few videos about Mars and coronavirus, but as you said, a lot of it is overblown, so I think a lot of it is just being very sensible, maintaining good hygiene, so, wash your hands properly, and stuff like that. But as I've said before, a lot of the time, the masks aren't all that important. As long as it's to a decent quality, you don't really need a mask with loads of bells and whistles on it to protect you from COVID. That's cool, Miss Holidays. Oh, yep, there you go. So Hype is selling those filters that I just showed for that price if anyone is interested. And I'd recommend them, not just because I like Hype, but because they're, they're actually good Ghost filters. So you can put them on whichever Soviet masks you want, for example. And, they're good modern filters. Shrapnel, Joey, as Marcus just said. Because if you think back to World War I, here's a good example. Although this is a World War II derivative of it. We've got this helmet, right? Soldiers before this just wore cloth hats or no helmets, assuming we don't go back as far back as medieval sort of warfare. So what the helmet does is if a shell explodes above your head, shrapnel comes down, the helmet catches it rather than it lodging in your head or, cracking your skull open. As time went on, helmets were developed to kind of cover more of the head, and some of them are even ballistically rated now with modern helmets. But the point was originally of World War I helmets, the entire point was air-bursting shrapnel shells, So you went down to ground like that, or whatever, if there were shells going off, and the helmet was designed to protect your skull from getting, bits of metal or stone lodged in it. Yeah, as Ms. Salada said, anything traveling at speed, if it hits your head, can be pretty serious. So, yeah, that's the thing. Like we were saying, modern helmets do actually stop rounds to a degree, like especially Kevlar ones and then the thermoplastic ones that are replacing Kevlar. But the point was originally with helmets was just to protect your head from shrapnel. Now, here's the funny thing. When helmets like this were first introduced, lots of people who were, I guess, quite dumb looked at the statistics and said, these helmets are doing a really bad job because there's a lot more wounded than there used to be. but those were wounded, not casualties or like fatalities. So what had ended up happening was soldiers wearing helmets got injured rather than killed, which meant they definitely were doing the job. But there were some people that looked at those statistics and say, well, if there's more wounded since helmets were introduced than before helmets, clearly they don't work. But yeah, I've got a soft spot for the Brody style helmets just because of how retro they are, And for World War One, these were very good helmets. Because again, the point wasn't to protect your skull from somebody like shooting you like that. The whole point of the helmet was, shells and shrapnel and everything coming down on you. And weirdly, the steel of these supposedly was a lot better than the German helmets. Because as much as the old German Stahlhelms are very cool looking, supposedly they're quite low quality steel, which is like why the Swiss, I don't have the Swiss M18 regular steel version behind me, but the Swiss M18 steel version is apparently the best World War One helmet for head coverage and quality of the steel. US helmets. I've got a M1 helmet, which isn't actually a proper US one. It's like, a foreign clone of the M1. The US did use these as well at one point, but for the most part, no, because most of the helmets I've got are like British Army ones or European ones. Yeah, the thing is, Sturgeon, they're a very good design in terms of head coverage and everything, but the problem was, especially in World War One with that Stahlhelm design, I think they were better by World War Two, as apparently the steel wasn't that good. So there was lots of stuff that a helmet like this would actually stop penetrating your skull, but the German helmets would let through, because, they were made to have more steel, but, be cheaper, so it was kind of thinner steel. Star Wars Dog, nickel is not as good as manganese steel. If you're on about like World War One helmets with nickel in and cheap metal like that are nowhere near as good as having manganese steel. Oh, the kettle helmet was basically the old medieval design, wasn't it? That these basically came from. The idea was, again, stuff coming down on your head. And it's got like the little nipple on the top as well, which you can't really unsee once you see. But there you go. I've got one Soviet World War II style helmet, Arctic Sniper, but it's actually the Communist Poland one they used afterwards, and I think it's a licensed copy of the SSH-40. As far as I'm aware, yes, PMKs use the same size as PMGs, GP5s, or at least, in terms of 1 is smaller, 4 is bigger kind of size. Hello, Vladimir. Hello, you. How are you? Hello, you. How are you? But yeah, I put that thing on this one at one point, Hype, that you sent me, like the Rhino mount, and it did just about sit on this one. But yeah, it would be funny on like a medieval great helmet or something. Yeah, I think here's the thing, Star Wars Dodge. It really depends, doesn't it, on the actual helmet itself, because that's apparently the really weird thing, is how many different helmets from similar time periods really varied in quality depending on like design, materials that they were made out of, like angle of, deflection, whatever. The Soviet helmets were definitely better in terms of protection, mate. And if I was wearing one, I would go for one in terms of how much it protected me, not what it looked like. That's pretty cool. There's a few people on here that do like medieval HEMA type stuff, Ronald. So yeah, there's that one. As I said, the this is the aluminium version of the Swiss M18. It was for civil defence, but the Swiss M18, as I was saying before, is the best of the World War One design style helmets, just because of the fact that it's literally a Stahlhelm that offers the best head coverage. No, British Brody helmet is actually good materials. That's a misconception if you think it's cheap. These were very good steel, even if the design looks really cheap. Yeah, see, for example, this is an aluminium helmet. This isn't designed for combat at all. This one is just to give head protection to civil defence workers. The East German helmets are really good. West German helmets, not so much. So, right helmet, again, completely different. This isn't designed to be ballistically protective at all. This is designed to protect you from rocks and hard impacts. I've done videos before on helmets like this. There's the helmet Hype sent me as well behind you there. That's the modernish Chinese one that somebody was complaining to me in the comments hype isn't really a Chinese helmet or something, which I think they were pretty wrong in saying. But whether or not it's like the military issue type one, as I said, I don't know. But in terms of being made of steel and a decent-ish helmet, is that so? Yeah. And one of my favourite old helmets, the Yugoslav helmets. Just because Yugoslavia had like a Stahlhelm-shaped helmet that was made from really good steel and had a really good liner. The only really modern helmet I have is the Virtus one, or Virtus, and that is very good. So yeah, I definitely would agree with you that Virtus is good, but as you can see, this one, when you adjust the liner properly, gives you really good head coverage in terms of, you can see out of it properly, but also as much as your head is covered as possible. Yeah, replacing filters on cheek filter masks is not a fun experience, I can tell you. Out of modern ones, Nate, or just all helmets in general? Yeah, that's what I thought, Hype. I think it was just somebody who was trying to make an argument that that particular one you've got isn't like a real one because XXX reason, even though it's the same sort of helmet design, And like I said to him, I'm really not all that interested. It's a good helmet, it's well made. I'm not really that not interested, if it's after a certain year where it wouldn't be classed as whatever. Yeah, this one is, but this one is actually a good steel as well. Because as I said, the thing you have to bear in mind with helmets, I might do a video on this because I don't think I've actually ever done a proper video explaining this, is with helmets, there's a few things you have to take into account when it comes to protection, especially old steel type ones. Shape of the helmet, thickness of the helmet, and quality of the steel. Because if you've got a helmet that gives good head coverage, but it's really, really weak, cheap steel, it's not going to give you very good protection because stuff can pierce it too easily. Also, if it's a really good shape but it's really thin, it's not going to give good head protection for that reason. There's a lot of factors when it comes to helmets, more than just, how much of your head it covers, and stuff like that. I've never used a DP4, but I know which counter it is. The DP63, Hype will be able to tell you the exact name of them, but you can still get the batteries a DP63 uses. They're 1.5 volt batteries, but they're bigger than AA's, but smaller than C cells. There is ways you can get them in the West, but you can still buy them, online under their original names, like modern produced versions. But essentially, it's just like, looks like a AA battery, but bigger. But they have a special name. I can't remember what they are. But yeah, the retro helmet I really like, as lots of you know I really like, is this one. See if I can get it out. East German M56, because this is basically the best made of all the Stahlhelms. Well, I mean, the Swiss Stahlhelm's probably overall better, but this one is the one that's, sounds like a bell when you wear it, but it's actually the best in terms of ballistic protection, just accidentally due to the shape of it and, I guess, quality of the steel and manufacturing process. We might have to do a helmet stream, I guess, at some point if everybody just wants to talk about helmets at the moment. But yeah, the East German helmets are one of my favourite just because they're goofy looking, but they are actually very good in terms of being a helmet because, it's basically a German World War II Stahlhelm. I can show you the firefighter's helmet to compare it. I know this isn't a genuine World War II Stahlhelm. If you look at the shape of both of them, you can actually see from here how they are essentially the same helmet, just the East German one doesn't kind of have the flared bottom. It just keeps going straight. Does that make sense? But overall, they are actually the exact same helmet shape, just, the East German one is one piece of metal that does that rather than it flaring out at different angles. Right, Stalin, I'm glad you've collected gas masks. I'm not going to the gulag. Particle 2.5 filters should be pretty good against corona, I imagine. But yeah, East German Stahlhelms are definitely the best retro ones, I reckon, in terms of kind of looking a bit goofy, but also being very good in levels of protection. But as I've said before to people, if I was to use a helmet today, I would just use my that's right, Stalin. If I was to wear a modern helmet, I have to clear all these up after I finish streaming. The one I like the most out of all the modern helmets is just the it's just, as we were saying, the as I said, these are probably the best ones. Thank you, Marcus. Is any of the stuff actually good, or is it like 3A? So it's in Kevlar 3A, that's pretty alright. But yeah, I know sometimes when people start selling stuff like that, they're obviously not selling pretty legit things, but yeah, this is the best of all my helmets, but that's just because it's the most modern one with the best filler in it. So this is, as I said, the British, although it's basically an American helmet, really. This is the Virtuous one that somebody was on about earlier in the chat. But the reason this helmet is so good, essentially, is just because, you know, very modern liner that's comfortable, very easy to adjust, bit where it clicks to your head. And, you know, the filler of it is better than Kevlar because it's that polythermal carbonate stuff, whatever they call it. So if you see videos of people shooting these helmets, they basically can never get the bullets to go through. The helmet horribly deforms. You know, you wouldn't want to get shot with it on. There's a chance that, you know, you'd get head trauma, a broken skull, you know, bruising to the brain, still probably quite high. But these do physically seem to stop every bullet shot at them. I don't well, if they're rioting, I don't have a problem with tear gas being used against people. If they're peaceful protesters, tear gas should never be used on people. That's interesting. Do you know what model of helmet it is? You're not sure. You'd have to look up CJ Fuchs Limited, I guess. Let me Google them and see what country they were from, and then maybe we can work out what helmet it is. Apparently, one CJ Fuchs thing is South African, according to Google. I've just put in. Let's see. It doesn't look anything like this, does it? This has got a cover on it, but according to the Imperial War Museum, that company made helmets in South Africa, so I would guess it's a South African military helmet, judging by the name. And if you click CJ Fuchs on there, I imagine it will search all the CJ Fuchs stuff. Yeah, it's mostly just South African military helmets, I guess. Yeah, let me check on my eBay and see when my thank you, Marcus. I've got a new stab vest coming because as much as I've been avoiding buying stuff recently, there was another like second-hand police stab vest, like the ones I got, you know, which I show off quite a lot in videos. And one of those, I think it might be coming via Royal Mail, which is good because it means it's coming via a regular postman. Yeah, it's Royal Mail tracking. That's good. So yeah, I've got a stab and spike protective vest coming because there was one that was just really cheap on eBay because the liner's quite ripped up. But of course, it's the panels inside that are the valuable bits, not the liner. So I'll see if the liner's repairable. If not, you know, just bin it. But S10 takes 40mm NATO filters. Yeah, US helmets would be the exact same thing as these because they're made by the same company as far as I'm aware. Like, yeah, the USACH helmets and these are pretty much the exact same thing. It's just these come with that weird kind of like night vision mount and like riot visor sort of armor mount thing screwed onto the helmet. But in terms of, you know, overall design, yeah, that's the thing. It would work though, wouldn't it, Marcus? Because that's the thing. That's what we do with Zombot when we test our things on Weapon Collector's dummy. We just literally, Mike's made like a little apron for him that you can put Kevlar sheets in and that, so you don't have to damage the liner of the actual proper Kevlar armor. You just take the panels out and put it in his little vest we've made him. But yeah, so as you can see, this has got good sort of padding around it, very good proper sort of harness in the middle. And the thing I really like about these, look, is you can tighten and loosen the helmet using that little screw at the back, like a bike helmet. So, you know, it's very easy to get this comfortable with all sorts of different stuff. Not in the UK, Klaus. In the US, if you found a Mitch helmet for that sort of price, you know, that was cheap, they are good designs because Mitch helmets are basically all the Pascut derivatives, aren't they? Maybe Etsy, but that's all I can really think about. Like individual army surplus stores, private sales, Etsy or eBay. That's for the most part, you know. Yeah, I said, in terms of when people keep saying about helmets, if I had to use a modern helmet, definitely this one, because this is the best protective level of all the helmets I've got. And, it's comfortable. Whereas the older helmets, it depends what you're using them for. They're either the Italian or the French filters, aren't they, CFF3s? I know what they are, but I've never bothered getting any myself, because I get asked about them a lot on here. I think if they're in date, they're fine. If they're out of date, how long out of date are they, kind of. This is... Let me get the full name of this helmet up for you and put it in the chat, because it's got a really weird name. It's like Virtus helmet, it's called, essentially. Right. Army Procurement Support Virtus. If their website loads. There you go. Although obviously this is the MOD talking about how good the stuff they buy is. But yeah, the Virtus stuff is like their revision program of like, new vests, body armor type stuff like that. But the helmet is the one bit from the Virtus thing everybody likes. Like with lots of the other armor bits, people are like, well, it's a bit better in this regard than the old armor, but not as good in the other regard, But the Virtus helmets are the really good bit, as in, they are clearly a step forward from the Mark 7s, and even the Mark 7s are pretty good. Comparing this to a Mark 6 helmet, this is so much better, it's not even funny. I wouldn't mind getting the UN helmet for a laugh at some point, but a lot of the blue UN helmets are actually just regular helmets with blue covers on, aren't they? Or painted blue. Because I know with like Pascets you can get the blue covers for them, and I know with British Mark 6 helmets they did blue covers for like press and UN peacekeepers. The thing is, personally, of helmets, I like ones that, cover your brow pretty well. If it's really high cut, to the point where lots of your head is exposed to the side, I personally wouldn't want to wear that, because, I'd think, your ears and everything are really exposed. But it depends what the person's job is that's needing the helmet, doesn't it? Because some people might have a role for a helmet where they need their ears to be really free and everything else. But I know the Volkstrom at the end of the war Star Wars Dodge would have had really shit equipment, or just literally hand-me-down equipment for whatever they could get. Whether or not they had specific helmets, I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me if they were literally given anything they could find. What is Klaus saying that's a German police helmet, a Star Wars dog? The firefighter's helmet. I've got the old, as said, West German firefighter's helmet that glows under UV light. If my UV flashlight is handy, I can show you how bright it glows. I bet I've put the light in the drawer or something. But yeah, this is the one that glows really bright under a UV. All right, Train Spotter, good to have you back. Yeah, sorry, I don't know why you got blocked, but I'm assuming a mod probably did it when you said something and they thought it was offensive. Yes, the Therapy is good. I've got the Therapy Plus. I'd say if you're getting one, just get the regular Therapy because it's cheaper and it displays the dose on the screen, as in it will say, like microsieverts, millisieverts, or sieverts, rather than it just saying a pure number. But in terms of our Therapy is good, yes. The only thing is they're not very waterproof. I've managed to contaminate this one, which makes it a pain in the ass because it always reads higher than all my other counters now. Marcus says low cut if you're in a war zone, high cut if you're in a protest. I guess that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, Therapies are good, especially if you get them for like £150 or less sort of price, or $150 or less, because around that price they are very good Geiger counters. Just the only issue of the Therapy is it still gives false readings near plasma balls and things like that. The thing is with Kevlar-like masks, they'd have to be pretty thick and have some sort of structural support in to actually work properly. Because the problem is with a lot of stuff like that is if you just had a thin layer of Kevlar, like say it hung in front of the mask and you had eye holes in it, for example, a bullet hitting it at a decent speed would both push it into your face and it would, need to be a certain thickness and weight to actually stop anything. So I don't know how effective they'd be. They're all over the place, Star Wars Dog. compared to like very modern masks, no, they're nowhere near as good. In terms of, are some Soviet masks well made for the time? Yes. It depends again what you want the mask for. There's lots of these questions are very much how long is a piece of string question. Is something good or bad? It's relative to the stuff that was around it at the time and what you can get now, and the prices you're paying for it. So, for example, a GP5, if you got a GP5 for cheap, most of them are still fine, as in they work, because they're so simple. But, comparing a GP5 to an Avon C50 or M50 or something like that, there's nothing in it, It's so much inferior to the modern masks, In theory, no Soviet mask should take Type 80 Israeli filters because they're NATO, not GOST. But again, some people have said, they found some masks take them, some don't. I can't really verify that because I think sometimes it just comes down to like manufacturing accuracy of the filter and the mask thread. I think we should be able to carry it, Constable James, but the law says we can't. So obviously I don't because it's a Section 5 firearm according to UK law. But in theory, I think people should be allowed to, especially police should all carry it as default, because it's not really a lethal weapon, is it? It's just something that stings your eyes a lot. Right, I'll finish the stream in about 5 minutes because there's suddenly loads of people coming on. That's the end of the coffee. But, hello, Stug. Hello, Cherno Inferno, if you've come on. Well, here's the thing. I certainly agree something like pepper spray is less lethal than a baton because, with a baton, there's obviously the risk if you hit somebody the wrong way with it, it could kill them. Whereas pepper spray, I suppose they'd have to have a very serious medical condition that causes like an allergic reaction to kill them through it. Or they'd have to wander into traffic, going, oh, I can't see, and then wander in front of a car or something. But the thing is, like I've said before, pepper spray and lots of things like that, I think should be completely fine for civilians. But the law in our country is they're not, so I don't own any, All right, Fox Sickness. I'm all right today. Obviously, I'm doing a stream today because I'm a lot more awake. Yeah, that's the thing, Marcus. I was going to say about that. But yeah, when you see those Kevlar masks, they are very thick, aren't they? And I think how they're made, they probably work for what they're intended. Whether or not they be comfortable, and all that other stuff is another factor. But yeah, it's just if somebody was on about like really thin Kevlar, I don't think that would work just because of how this stuff has to work. PCSOs, I imagine, carry the same stuff as normal police, minus a bit of equipment. So whether PCSOs have tasers, pepper spray, like little CS sprays, I don't know. I know some PCSOs definitely carry stuff on their belt, don't they? But what is, I don't know. I've not seen a PCSO in ages, in all honesty. Did the police finally realise that it'd probably just be best to have regular police? I would get a new liner, Klaus, if you can, and then just try and age it to look old. Because obviously, original liner, if you can get one in really good condition, would be good. But I imagine that would cost loads. And yeah, good luck getting it to be, fit all that well. I was imagine if you get a new liner, you could probably fit it in quite well and then age it, couldn't you? No, I don't really have any vintage cameras, Pope. I've got a few, cameras that are pretty ancient, but they're like not valuable modern ones that are just old. I've got a few old, saying that somewhere, lenses for cameras because you can plug them into some old night vision units, but that's the only reason I've got old lenses, just because I bought them from junk shops cheap to fit to night vision. Yeah, that makes sense though for home defense, doesn't it? Because again, if somebody breaks into your house and you pepper spray them, it's like, wow, they deserve it. They've broken into your house. Right, what day is it today? Is it Wednesday today? If it's Wednesday today, there's a video tonight. Right, today's Wednesday. Let me look on my channel and I'll tell you what tonight's video is. Because normally I have videos Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday plus streams. Right, today's video is attempting to demagnetize a watch. Now, part of the demagnetization worked in this video, but the watch is still fucked. And after the video, I opened up the watch and then found, oh wait, the coil spring is fucked. That's why it's not going. But yeah, if you're interested in watch demagnetization, which probably a lot of people watching aren't, that's interesting. But I do kind of talk a bit more about Vostoks in it. Oh yeah, I've changed the strap on this Vostok again now. So I've got a steel strap that doesn't irritate my skin. This was actually a strap. I didn't think it would fit, but it just about did from the Orient watch that broke, because the Orient watch, I think, is technically 20mm, not 18mm, bits between the lugs. But I just about managed to get it to fit in there, and I'm quite happy with that because, fits nice and securely, and I like the strap. But yeah, as I've said before, go back to it, Vostok watches, if you just want to buy a watch that's really reliable, get a Vostok. You'll probably change the strap on them, because the Vostok steel bracelets are really jangly and uncomfortable. The Vostok rubber bracelet, as much as it was a good strap, actually irritated my skin, like for an eczema kind of reaction, so I had to change that, even though it was a good strap in itself. But, I just like these steel kind of mesh straps because they're both comfortable, pretty durable, and they're not going to react to anything like water or dirt or whatever else. Chino Inferno, thank you very much. He says, I watch whatever videos you put on. They're all very interesting, even if it's not a topic I'm interested in. Well, that's good. At some point, I need to get the... because I've got the whiteboard with all the markers and erasers now. I'm going to do my big whiteboard video on Rontgens at some point. But, I might give that another day, I think, for my throat to get completely back to normal, so it doesn't feel like dry and scratchy, and then I can talk in front of a whiteboard for ages. Yeah, because the thing is, uranium glass train spotting is often very barely above background radiation levels anyway. Uranium glass, one of my bits of uranium glass barely registers on the Geiger. You have to get it, like, the Geiger tube to the closest bit of the uranium glass in terms of, like, how thick it is to actually register. I'd say use Fiesta ware rather than uranium glass if you want, like, a little ornament that will make a Geiger go crazy. Unfortunately, you can't leave a link, Killer Cod, because YouTube just won't let you do it. It'll either mark it as spam or just completely hide it. But what's the name of the mask? And I'll tell you if I think it's good just before I go off. So you've got 2 minutes. Post the name of the gas mask. I will Google it, and I'll tell you if I think it's any good, if I don't know what it is off the top of my head. But yeah, the issue is at the moment, as I said, is because of coronavirus, because of lots of protests and things like that, the prices of masks have been going up and up and up and up, and they're getting more and more unreasonable. Right, you have to get its name. My favourite gas mask, still my Avon CT12. That's in that bag there, but I'm not getting it out now because it's right at the end of the stream. Although this comes very, very close to it now on the list. The MF11D Hype sent me, because this is actually a really nice modern mask. Because here's the thing, I know that for certain there are masks better than the CT12 and FM12 and that. It's just I personally like that mask. It's just because I feel it's a good seal to my face. It's very basic. It does what it's meant to do, and it does that well. Yeah, I mean, you're more likely to find old radium clocks, I imagine, train spotting in antique stores, and they much more easily register because, radium is a lot hotter than Fiesta ware is and uranium glass. Yes, if you can get one for that price, JJ, that is a reasonable price. I mean, think how they are at the moment, going back a year or so ago, £50 to £100 was like the common price range for FM12s, but sadly it's not anymore. But if you found one in your size. Right, that's not the name of them. Oh, it's the Sperian. Yes, let me Google that, but I'm pretty sure I've got review on that. So if you're on about the Sperian mask, the Polish one, or like the Scott variant, that is a good mask. Yes, I've got a video on that, Killer Cod. I would recommend it if it's a sensible price. But if you look on my channel, type in Sperian, like Wilson Sperian gas mask. I've got a video reviewing that, going over its features. If I remember right, the voice diaphragm was very good on that. The field of view was pretty good. The straps were all right. There wasn't anything bad about it. But anyway, I'll be off now. So thanks everybody that's come on. As I said, it's quite nice to have done like a full-length stream again, because yesterday, when I went to stream in the evening, I was just so tired. I think I managed like 50 minutes of the stream and said, look, I'm going to have to go off. I'm going to have to watch that back later because I set it to private so I can actually see how tired I look during the stream. But yeah, last night I was just falling asleep in my chair, basically. So, yeah. See you all. Have a good day. And, hope everybody's well.